So, the woman that I decided to research and learn more about for the biography speech was Septima Clark. She was an American educator and civil rights activist, obviously, and she's commonly known for her work developing the literacy and citizenship workshops that played a major role in the drive for voting rights and civil rights for blacks during the civil rights movement. She was dubbed the mother of the movement by Martin Luther King, and her work was also said to be underappreciated by Southern male activists, which I find interesting because essentially her workshops that she had are what helped blacks receive voting rights. So I thought that was pretty interesting that it was kind of undervalued and underappreciated. So a little bit about Septima and her early life. She was born and raised in South Carolina. She grew up very poor. I was reading that she started school when she was 6. She went to this ghetto building where there was over 100 other 6-year-olds that were in attendance, sitting on bleachers and not really learning much. And so after her parents kind of discovered this, they pulled her out immediately, and she went across the street to her neighbor's house. An elderly woman had a school where she taught black little girls, and so Septima was one of those girls that attended there all the way up to 6th grade. When she hit 6th grade, she went to school again, and something interesting about the education system back then was that in 6th grade, or at the end of her 6th grade year, she took a test, and apparently she did so well that they bumped her up to 9th grade, so she skipped 7th and 8th grade, which I thought was pretty crazy because that doesn't really happen today. And so you can kind of see how there's a huge difference between education systems back then and now. They kind of just pushed you through back then, and today they make you stay all the way K through 12. So she went 9th grade year to Avery High School, which was the first black high school in the town that she was growing up in, and it was taught by these white women, and that was kind of her first interaction with white women teaching her. And I read that she was just so fascinated by them, and she admired them and wanted to be them and stuff, and so that was pretty interesting. Moving on to her later life, she actually obtained not just a bachelor's degree but also a master's degree in her life. Her bachelor's degree was from Columbia, and then her master's was from, which one was it from? It was from Hampton Institute. So yeah, very good schools. She was involved with the NAACP, where she took part in her first political action in 1919. So essentially what happened was Clark led her students around, she was teaching 6th grade at the time, and she led her 6th graders around the city, and they went door to door knocking on them, asking for signatures for a petition to allow black principals at Avery High School, which is the same high school that she went to growing up. And in one day, she received over 10,000 signatures from the community, which is pretty awesome. And so the next year, black teachers were permitted into Avery High School, which is awesome. She married her sweetheart, Mary Clark, in 1923, and they had 2 kids. One of them passed away, unfortunately. And then moving on to her citizenship schools or workshops, whichever you prefer. It served to empower the black community, and Clark's goals for the school was Septima's main goals for the workshops were to provide self-pride, cultural pride, literacy, and a sense of one's citizenship rights. And I was also reading that because of her workshops that she had, about 700,000 African Americans became registered voters because of it, which was awesome. And also because of her workshops, she became the first woman to gain a position on the SCLC board, and she was the director of education and teaching. And I was also reading that her role on the board caused like a lot of controversy from other black males. They felt like, or they felt threatened by having another woman or having a woman on the board with them. And someone was talking to Dr. King and was saying, like, why is Septima Clark on this board? Like, she's a woman. And Dr. King stood up for her multiple times and said, like, she's the one that proposed this citizenship program, therefore, like, she should be on this board because she's the reason why we're receiving funding and the reason why we are progressing in this movement, which was pretty cool of Dr. King to do. A quote that I really like that Clark said about the inequality of black women that black women received from black males during the civil rights movement was, she said that women being treated unequally was one of the greatest weaknesses of the civil rights movement. And I thought that was a pretty powerful statement because, I mean, we don't really think about the issues that occurred within the black community. We focus so much on black and white, but we don't really look at like the black and black like inequality that happened during this time. And black women were often mistreated and were degraded by black males, and we don't focus on that. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And yeah, that's pretty much Septima Clark. She's an amazing woman. She helped a lot with the civil rights movement, and we wouldn't have progressed without her workshops. And it was just an honor and a privilege to be able to learn more about her. And yeah.